This conference will now be recorded.
So I'm recording this session for those of you. The recorded version of the session will be available for the later view as well. So before I move ahead, I would like to set the agenda. The key takeaway of this overall webinar would be is RPA is really dead. So primarily RPA has delivered a lot of value to the organization, but a lot of survey and a lot of articles is today talking about really RPA is dead. So primarily in this webinar, the speaker would be covering about what essentially we should be doing next. Really, we should be moving towards cognitive automation and AI. What are the different new tools and technologies for that? How it would impact the developer, business analyst, or the managers, and what are the essentially things we should be doing differently in order to cope up with changes. Last but not the least, what is the best path forward for the organization and being the individual? So these are the primarily the key takeaway of this overall our session. So let me introduce and present the today's speaker, Mr. Nandan Mullakara. So Nandan is the founder and CEO of Innometi. Nandan is instrumental in enabling the organizations to initialize industrialization and institutionalization of automation initiatives. He is strategic advisor on automation anywhere, RPA and intelligent automation online. Nandan is primarily a transformation business leader. He was head of RPA consultancy Fujitsu US. He led the entire team. He has built up the RPA capability and COE in Fujitsu US. Last but not the least, Nandan is very passionate about RPA and AI. You can find him on nandan.info. It's a very collaborative platform where people are sharing a lot of their ideas. So it's a very great collaborative platform. I recommend everybody to go and just take a look at nandan.info. Before I hand it over this call to our speaker, there are some housekeeping activity. Please keep your mic on mute in case you are not speaking. This will really help us to smooth our overall this webinar. Put your questions on the chat window, and questions and answer sessions are at the end. So please make sure you are on top of this housekeeping activity. So I'd like to welcome Nandan. Nandan, it's all over to you. Before I hand it over to Nandan, for those who have just joined us, once again, welcome. Welcome to the session Emerging RPA Platform. So let's welcome Nandan. It's all over to you, Nandan.
Thank you. Madan, make me the presenter and then I can share the screen.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a minute.
Okay. All right. Meanwhile, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone, wherever you are from. Thanks and welcome to this webinar. It's grateful. I'm grateful that you're here. Today, what I wanted to do, as Madan said, is address some of the questions that people have. So in that light, what I would like to do is talk about where I think RPA is right now, where I see it going, how it impacts you, whatever your role is, and maybe how you can benefit from it. And I think that will address many of the questions that Madan had on his slide there. So let me share my screen here and then we'll get started. Give me a minute. Can you see my screen, Madan?
Yes, I can see your screen. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so let's start with the standard narrative we have on RPA. right? RPA is screen scraping, that's what we are told, and then it's supposed to take care of rule-based stuff. So anything that can be well-defined, RPA takes care of. And then as a next step, we go to intelligent automation, right, where we move to a phase, a bit of AI, like an ML, pattern recognition, and then we go into human like AI or cognitive as a next step, and maybe beyond. And that's the standard narrative. The analyst was saying that RPA is a gateway technology to these advancing technologies like AI. Now, suddenly there is a wrinkle in that narrative, right? Suddenly, there is all this talk about RPA is dead based on one analyst recommendation, and some tool vendors also have got onto that bandwagon. So the narrative is that RPA is dead. And so people have been asking me questions that Madan had on that slide. Now that RPA is gone or going away, how do I move to the next phase, which is intelligent automation with AI, all the new technologies and cognitive. So I think there is some misunderstanding out there. So from my perspective, that article that RPA is dead, to me that title was more of getting some attention, right? If you read that article inside, what you would find is that what they're talking about is we need to do RPA right. And none of those, including the tool vendors who wrote about it later, did not say that RPA is going away. They're just saying that we need to do RPA right with more technologies, which is what I call RPA plus, which can be any of these emerging technologies. And also they're saying that you just don't focus on technology, look at people, process, and technology. And to some extent, we've been doing that. And so I think we are in that path. It's just that there is a narrative now, and people are trying to jump across. Now, the second part of it, that how do I move to advancing technologies and things like that? I think, in my view, RPA is not a path to AI. So I think some of people will disagree with that, but in my view, that's a different track. AI is a different technology track. RPA is more of an automation process improvement track. And what RPA is a path to future of work. So what I mean by that is a future where people are working with bots, right? And that's what every of the RPA vendors have been targeting from the beginning. Blue Prism, who the pioneers, called it, even then when they started in 2003, they called it as digital workforce. So it's mainly a path to automation. So RPA is a path to automation, and for automation, you would use the advancing technologies like AI. So this curve or this narrative is right, but I think there's been some misunderstanding in terms of, I get into RPA, I learn RPA, and then I learn AI. I think that's probably not true. It is a path to better automation using the emerging technologies. And RPA is a journey of process improvement. So it's been a steady progress, and so suddenly we cannot have RPA dead or any of these technologies dead. It's been a steady evolution. And if I look at this one, I think there's a similar curve for AI. So AI, it started similarly in 60s in the Dartmouth College, the current AI that we're looking at, and it has also steadily evolved with a lot of disappointment, what they call as AI winters, leading up to now what we have, this deep learning, which is proving to be very useful to people. But that's a separate track. This is a track of process improvement, which we started probably in the 50s and 60s. So we've been doing this for probably 50, 60 years now. We started during the industrial revolution or industrial age, where people started specializing and doing things, and then standardizing it. And I think that's a very important first step, because today it's so easy for us to go and say that let's go automate and process in finance, let's say AP process. But the very fact that people took that step in standardizing it, right, and enabling processes, that was the first step. And once we had processes, there was this whole movement on TQM, total quality management, then computerization, MIS, which is management information systems. So there was this journey of computerizing it and improving those processes, including re-engineering the process. Then as the processes kept on improving, we started realizing there is some gaps, right? And in integration. And that's still the case. But EAI or Enterprise Application Integration was the first to address it in the 90s. It basically formed a glue with other systems. So like if there is SAP and there is many other applications, it was, there, which was not talking to each other, EAI enabled it. And then the conversation moved to from EAI to much bigger thing where people started talking about business process management, which was managing the end-to-end processes. This whole BPM thing and EAI was when people started becoming more process-centric. So from a standardization perspective, businesses started being driven as processes and process-centric. So it was a great time for companies like IBM, Oracle to come into the space and provide end-to-end capability to automate this process. And they call that at that time, fancy names, business process automation or BPA. So it evolved to a place where it's computerized. There were tools to automate the processes. It was not such a big success because they were trying to boil the whole ocean and trying to do end-to-end processes. There were a lot of disappointment with BPM, BPA. But a great one of the corollary to that was the emergence of BPO or business process outsourcing. Because if this is all computerized and it's all standard defined, why not move it to a places where it is cheaper to do the work, right? And so BPO started in the 90s, around 2000s, and that's where India started getting involved, or many offshoring started getting involved. And why I'm saying this is because that is where we start the RPA journey. Blue Prism started as a vendor who was looking to optimize the BPO operations. So, when people started doing BPO, they noticed that there's a lot of repetitive work that's being done. And so they were looking at levers to give more value to the clients in terms of reduced costs. And they found that automation is a way. And then Blue Prism came up with this concept of digital workers, whereas UiPath was independently, they were developing automation libraries and they were selling it. They were not finding much traction, but an Indian BPO provider, I think out of Chennai, found them and then reached out to them, and they thought this could be useful in a BPO scenario. And when UiPath found BPO processes, they realized that there is a gold mine out there, and then they started developing processes, right? And there's not been any looking back. And Automation Anywhere similarly began, developing automation libraries somewhere in the same time, right? Most of these things were developed around the 2003 starting and then 2010s maturing. So we are kind of like just in the beginning of RPA, and like probably 8-9 years where we have developed, and probably 3-4-5 years is when it's actually started coming on its own. Because when I was talking, started talking about RPA, nobody knew about RPA, but today everyone knows about RPA. So I think we are gone from a stage of process standardization to now digitalization and digital transformation of these processes. And this whole journey to RPA plus, I think, is very exciting, and I'm very bullish about it, because right now what's happening is that we are in a virtuous cycle, right? So if you look at it, UiPath or Automation Anywhere, even Blue Prism, they're coming out with newer features for their platform every single day. Just last week, UiPath had an Azure component, had a ServiceNow component, something update on Salesforce. So there's so many new features coming on every day. So what happens with that is that this useful features leads to more real value for people. Like, for example, if we say UiPath came out with an activity pack for ServiceNow, that opens up a whole new area of ServiceNow. And the many customers who are using ServiceNow can now start automating. And I'm just giving that as an example. ServiceNow itself has an automation, but maybe Salesforce, any of those things, what happens is it opens up more value in terms of what can be done with automation, because one person see that, oh, this guy has done this with service, now let me go do it, right? So there is more value that people are seeing with the tool, and this more value leads to high demand. And actually high demand is what I was talking about. People see it and then they want more of it. And once there's high demand, what happens is that the revenues of these tool vendors are increasing. Like UiPath, which had like around 7 million of annual recurring revenue, now claims around 200 million of annual recurring revenue. So it's around 25 times what they were earlier within 2 years, and it's one of the fastest growing companies, right? And that is leading to more money. Like last week or the week before, we saw UiPath actually being valued now at $7 billion. It's in fact the most valuable AI company. And so that money, what they're getting, which they're putting it into more features, and then the cycle continues. So it's basically been a loop where the tool is getting better and better. They're adding more features for us to make automations better. And now as they're adding these features, though, I think what they're realizing is that there's a lot of new technologies coming out there, right? And we can see that we can name like 8 or 9 separate streams of technologies that's coming in, even at this point of time. You name it, like AI or blockchain, or drones. So many of these technologies are coming into their own, and they are maturing in themselves, and we need to include them into the automation, maybe because people are really want to get these things moving. And that's one of the reasons people are coming up with this whole RPA is dead narrative. But then they cannot keep up, right, because of the exponential technologies. And what I'm showing on the left is the Kurzweil's exponential technology curve. I don't know if you've seen this one, but the basic idea is that the rate of human progress is increasing. So just to give you an example, somebody like, let's say in a 1500 or 1400, if they were to come to 1800s, 1800 AD, they would find some progress. They would find some progress in terms of science and technology. But they would not be zapped, or they probably would not have a heart attack. But somebody in 1800, if they were to come to 2000, they would be zapped, because the rate of change is so much that when there is the transportation ways have changed, right, from horse carriages to all this modern transportation. The communication has changed. The complete the electricity was not there, which is there now. So it's a huge change that's happening. So that rate of change is increasing. Like if you look at it, Facebook is only 15 years old. So and the companies that's coming out now, every 10 years the technology landscape is changing, and it's changing to probably more like a 5 years soon. So the technology change is rapidly increasing, and as like Kurzweil says, it will reach human intelligence soon. In fact, he has some date out there, probably in 2050 or something, where we will reach human intelligence. But that whole technology thing is making this a very complex world. So there's a lot of technologies, there's multiple technologies, there's new technologies, and the evolving technology that's making it very complex. So what happens is that there's no single person who has got all the answers, or single vendor cannot have all the answers. So it has to be a network sense making, which means that we got to connect together and make sense of what this new technology is and what things are happening. So that's where I think that all the RPA vendors are moving to an RPA platform, a platform where not just everyone can participate. And it's been evolving, and the first step obviously was the core platform, right? Which I like to call it like an OS of bots. So what they're providing is an operating system for the bots. So we know that it provides a way for you to build these bots, and so they basically give you a bot, and then you can configure the workflows in a studio, and then you can attach those workflows to the bot and then deploy them in a controller, right, or a control room, or an orchestrator, whatever you may call it. But the idea is that it gives you a way to create, manage, deploy and manage the bots. So that's the core platform, and it's been evolving. But to add to that, now many things are coming up, right? One of the things that's coming up is the process discovery and mining, and this is coming up in a big way. This is an area, if you look at it, our business analysts have been doing it for quite some time, where they look at the processes, make a PDD, and pass it to a developer to develop. What's happening is that one, the process discovery, it's been evolving also separately. Again, another technology that's been evolving, started in Europe, especially Netherlands, where people were looking at the log files and coming up with a way of automatically describing the process. What's the process that people are following, and what are the exceptions to that process? Now, though, what's happening with the availability of computer vision, people are coming up with tools where these tools sits on your computer. When people do the day-to-day work, they capture what the person is doing and come up with the process automatically. And I'll show that to you in the next slide. But that's very interesting that this area of process discovery, which is happening before the RPA platform, is going to be automated. In fact, Crayon says that Crayon is one of the tool vendors. There is Fortress IQ, which is another tool vendor, which is also into it. Crayon says that 60% of the process is automatically generated, and then you can go and customize the next part. So that part is getting automated, or getting done better. And then the other part is the skills part. So as the RPA vendors sees fit, what they're saying is that there are some strategic skills for the platform to be successful. So for example, Blue Prism just come out with Decipher. Automation Anywhere had IQ-Bot. So they both address the area of structured data, right? Sorry, unstructured data. So they address the unstructured data, and that area they provide. Blue Prism is free, they say, as well as, whereas IQ-Bot is charged, but they are adding those strategic skills by themselves, and they will keep adding those skills as they see fit. But what they're doing more, and which is more exciting, is bringing in the marketplace, where you can contribute to the skills, or to the component that you can be plugged into the RPA platform. And mind you, all these things is kind of a drag and drop into the platform, and I'll show you that in the next slides. But it's basically easy to do those things as long as it's developed. So if people are coming up with the AI components, what is real, what is available in the market and useful for people, that's what they're enabling. So the whole talk of this integrated automation, and we need to bring in new technologies, that's getting enabled, though gradually. I know it's probably the pace is not fast enough, and I think that's where they're opening up to the platform. And I think the platform, the marketplace, where it is going is to a place where it will all be, you can monetize it. So if you develop things for that, right now it cannot be mostly, but you can monetize it in the future. And so it starts looking like an app store, right? So the OS, whether it is in a Google Play Store or iPhone, you've got a marketplace of apps that you can put on the core platform and deploy. Someone came off mute, I think. Please put yourself on mute if you're not talking. All right, thank you. So you look at it, it's UiPath or Automation Anywhere, they seem to be like platforms, or operating systems on which you can build apps, and they will be providing apps, and it's becoming, in my view, a platform which is which all sits on top of their learning academy, like foundational things, right? Learning academy. So we've got UiPath Academy. You've got, everyone has got their own academy. Blue Prism also got a portal. Automation Anywhere has also got a way to learn things. It's not just these people. Everyone. Crayon has got a good place where you can read, learn stuff. And then they are also enabling community. Especially UiPath has started with it, but everyone has started with it. Very important, because when, again, a single person cannot make sense of things. It's up to the community together sense making. So community is available. And then there's a partner ecosystem. Where, like, you don't need to go and worry about talking to Google or Microsoft or anything, you can actually use Microsoft Azure skills right from their marketplace or from their strategic skills. So this is what I see as the emerging RPA platform, where it's so as you can see, a lot is being done, and they're inviting all of us to participate and make this better. So I wanted to, as I said earlier, show you a few of those things that's emerging and what I find as interesting. So I just want to start with process discovery. This is, as you can see, it's a video from Crayon. So this is a tool where it's actually sitting on your computer, looking at what are the processes being executed and capturing them, and then even looking at what is the volume, what is the steps, and so based on that, it gives you a recommendation that this particular process is probably what you should look to automate, and then you can filter it by various criteria to understand the process. And so here it is coming up with the process automatically. So the process has been generated, and what it sees is that 53% of the things are being covered by this main process flow, right? And people go through variants, people do things in a different way, and so you can actually include those variants in the process flow, and you can see that the coverage increases, right? And the time coverage also increases. So if you can look at how much of the variation you want to include to automate, and then you include that, and here it says it's around 1 hour and 25 minutes that that process is taking. And then there's a button called automate. You press it, and then it automatically generates the workflow for you. In this is in Crayon Studio, but you can you will see this come up with other tools as well. The top vendors right now have got a partnership with Celonis. Celonis uses more of a log analysis tool, which is process mining tool like Celonis, but they have multiple partnership, and I think this also will come up for the other tools. So, but the way I see it, this is how it's the whole process can be plugged into the core platform. So the initial part would be built out, you would be building on top of that. And next I wanted to show you a quick use case. It's a life sciences use case of how in Blue Prism you can plug in various of the skills that I was talking about. So all these emerging technologies, how we are already plugging it in. You can plug it in, it's a drag drop. So this is a case where in a clinic, when people come in, they come in with a drug, right? People come in with a tablet and say that I have this tablet, I don't know what is the name for it, but I have this tablet with me, which I want a prescription for, which I want like another 10 off, right? Now, since they don't know what the tablet is, what they do is take an image of that and send it to the drug company. So this drug company has got a way to collect all those images and then apply various skills. So it's using Azure skills to look at the pill, vision skill to look at the pill, and then it's using Azure text analytics to read the numbers on the pill, and based on that it pulls that information and it goes to drugs.com and finds a match for that particular pill. So it tries to see which pill that is, and once it finds a match, it actually drafts an email and sends back to the clinic as soon as possible, so that the person's prescription can be filled out. So what I wanted to show you is that it's the idea that the various advancing technologies is how to include them and how to create real world use cases which is useful for people. And Blue Prism is coming out with such features, and it's not just Blue Prism, every of the RPA vendors are coming out with such features where you can use and plug and play the newer emerging technologies. So the next one I wanted to show you about facial recognition. This is a warehouse where is a global warehouse, is a lot of people, facilities, inventory, and how do they keep track of it? Earlier, it was a person keeping track of it, of all the cameras, right? You might have seen this people monitoring this. Here, it's automated. It's basically taking all those images from this from the camera and putting it in a folder. And then you saw the drag and drop skill. So they dragged and dropped the Microsoft computer vision skill, and with that computer vision skill, what they're doing is they are reading each of those images that they got from the warehouse. So each of the photos which is received is read to check if there are any humans involved in that frame. So if there are humans, they have to process it further. But if there are no humans, they just go to the next image, right? So if there are humans, what it does, so here it's closing that there is no human, but if there's a human, what it does is it looks in that frame for that human, and then it wants to it will do a facial recognition. So it's looking up the face of the person and it's matching to the library of what's available and seeing whether this person is an employee, and if he is, and is he at the right area doing the right task, right? And it's a bit creepy, but this is all possible. Like if this is an intruder, then there's a no match, then they send out a notification saying that there is an intruder in the area. But actually this particular facial recognition skill, you can also do it. The New York Times had an article where they made like a facial recognition thing with $80. So it's pretty cheap. So the technology is not the thing, and technology is not difficult to do as well, but it's the solution, how you make real world solution. That's what the RPA vendors are enabling. And I was talking about the marketplace, and this is Blue Prism's digital exchange marketplace, like an app store, right, of things. And automation as anywhere has been having it for quite some time now. They have also moved up to having digital workforce, which they say as things that can automate complete roles. So you can see the various skills and from various vendors, including Google NLP, Translate, Google Vision, and all that, which you can pick it up. You can look it up by various filters. You can reach to it, and then once you found it, you can basically drag and drop that skill. So in terms of picking up AI and cognitive skills in automation, I think the more thing you will be doing is working on RPA and then invoking the emerging technologies as they come. I mean, it's good that you know about these technologies, but what RPA sorry is doing is to make things easier for you to apply it for real world automation. If someone came off mute, can you please mute if you're not talking? Sorry. This is low code. You can basically drag and drop stuff onto it, like we saw earlier. And the second trend, and obviously this what's happening, why this easy is happening is because we want the difference between business and IT is blurring. Right now business is IT, right? Because if you are not technologically ahead, other businesses will get ahead. So as a business person, generally you need to know technology, and if you're a technology person, you need to know the business as well. And the key is that it's all focused on business results, rather not just doing some technology or doing some project. It's more focused on actual business results. And finally, the trend is obviously to do more, like we saw process mining now. So the BA's work is a bit more lesser, and similarly a coder's work is also a bit more lesser. So it's actually each one of us, it's do more with machines. That's the trend that it's going to. So So what does that mean for you? So in my view, I think if you're in various roles, I think the key is that we do more, like I said in the last one, right? So as a technology person, we usually have this one person doing the requirement, one person doing the technology part, and they're more focused on the technology. They don't care about the use case and things like that. But with RPA, that's one of those tools which is in that gray area, which is not IT and which is not business, which is more of doing both. So I think you should be aware more of the use case and look at solutions rather than just the technology aspect, right? Like whether it is Blue Prism or whether it is the AI component that you're building, it's more about the technology. Um, and also as we progress, I think there, as you can do more now, it will be, people would be looking at brand new, in the sense that people look at GitHub already if you're a developer, what you have developed, and here people may look up on the marketplace or on the app store, on the bot store, and see what you have done. And so it's a good idea for you to also contribute to that, develop in that area, I think. So as a techie, I think you can focus on a business, look for solutions to build. As a business analyst, I would say, learn to use the tool, because now you've got a process mining tool. So look to use the tool, look to do things faster, better. And now you have more time, right? Because the machine is doing half your work. And believe it or not, so automation is also coming into the way, into the place where, where automation people are working on. So you can do more, and then maybe team up with technology people, or you yourself can. I've seen BAs who are actually very well doing RPA very well, and they can contribute by themselves. And finally, if you're a manager, I think it's a new workplace, right? And there would be people, and there will be a lot of things that bots would do. Like if there is a process that has been automated, you probably cannot reach out to the person, but you have to call maybe a bot support or some place where it's a new workplace. It's more of people working where they're really required, and there are bots. And it's going to be an adaptable, informal organization. That's where it seems to be going. So it's not formal. People work with you because they like to work with you. So it's it's good to form teams, and motivate and do great things with teams, and not just depend on the formal power. So I think that's what I think is the impact. And I know there can be more, but this is a few things I could think of. So finally, I just wanted to wrap up. If you look at it, things, all those things, Lego blocks are available. The platform is available. The technologies are available. It's easy to build them, but the real value is in combining them to create disruptive solutions. So any one of us can take this Lego blocks, create disruptive solutions, and publish it, and 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 those can change the way things are being done in organizations. So so if you're, as I said, we cannot make sense by ourselves. It's something we connect together and do stuff. So if I would encourage all of us to connect with each other, and do great things. I mean, not just RPA, technology and business together. Madan and his organization, who is organizing this one, they've been doing a great work. They have actually trained more than 3,500 people on RPA. So they're doing a great work. I'm actually working on developing a community. I've been blogging at nandan.info, .info, nandan.info, and I've been looking to take a next step in terms of building a community. So I just built out a new community at ibotify.com. It's in beta right now. The idea is to connect and then learn and do more with RPA. So there's a way to on the platform to look for people based on technologies, based on applications they have worked on. You can look at various criteria. You can message with people. There's some courses. I'm just working on an RPA intro course right now, which is going out to people. There's a forum for us to discuss things. There's a news feed to basically share stuff that we come across on RPA, this use cases. I've been building out a use case grid. I'm building out something more on this side. And then there is tools. What are the tools available? You can review them. So yeah, you can get there, register with LinkedIn, put in your details, and so that people can discover you, and then you can get started. So, a way to connect, make sense together. That's trying to enable that. So if you like to join, you're welcome to. It's ibotify.com. So that's all I had actually. With that, I can open it up for questions.
All right. Thanks, Nandan, for sharing your experience, and really it was great to hear your insight and experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are open up for question and answer. So please feel free to put your questions on the chat. And Nandan is here. He will monitor the chat and he will answer your questions. So Nandan, please monitor the chat.
Sure.
And there is one active question here from Vidyasagar Natarajan.
Okay.
So question is, how do you advise laterals to get used with RPA? Do they have any role in the emerging? If so, what?
So firstly, I can't see anything on the chat. Maybe I can't see it, is it? Okay, let me open it up. Maybe I have not opened
Yeah,
it.
please.
Okay. Sorry. So the question is about laterals, which mean people who are already in the organization. What does it mean? Do you know?
I'm just keeping everybody everybody on mute. So please feel free to ask directly from Nandan.
Vidyasagar, are you there?
Nandan, hi. You're able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Nandan. Thanks for very useful information. So my question is, see, now with technology getting so highly upgraded, see, what do you think? How do you think laterals can be used, and what is going to be the role for them in RPA? That is my question.
So what do you mean by laterals? That's my only...
People having around more than 15 years or 20 years of experience in IT.
Okay. That's a very good question, right? And we've many of the laterals, especially in India, I think they've not been in touch with technology, and there is a tendency towards people having more technology understanding. So, but I think to answer your question, I think everyone has a great role to play, and the great thing with laterals is that even if you've not been in touch with technology, RPA is a great way to get in now, and because it's a low-code platform, and it's not just RPA. If you look at our RPA technologies tools, that's one. I was looking at Appian, that's another low-code vendor which actually does digital transformation or BPM using low-code. And then I even saw recently Microsoft has come up with a machine learning platform which is low-code. So everything is tending towards, what I'm saying is towards low code. So it's easy to get in there if you can look at what is available in terms of technology. Also, the great thing, the thing with laterals is that you've picked up some business experience along the way. In fact, you would have great experience with IT itself. That is one. But more importantly, if you worked, let's say, on finance, or if you've worked in specific industries like telecom or healthcare, you can use that knowledge and then use the technologies to come up with disruptive solutions, or need not be disruptive, but newer solutions to things, I think. So there's no easy answer, but I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to step up and put those Lego blocks together, and create new things. That's what I think. Does that answer your question?
To an extent, fine, but you should also think from a broader perspective, right? Focus is something which is pretty important. You cannot be diving into everything, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that's where I was saying that you should be focused on certain domains, right? Like I totally agree with you. So especially in an AI world, the way I see it, a lot of it would be verticalized AI. So, and in each of these areas, even let's say, let us take in healthcare, in finance, within finance, let's say within payroll, there's a lot of things, a lot of data that's coming in. And then how do we make sense of the data? And with using the data, what algorithms can we, pick up and contribute to the enterprise or improving the enterprise? So those things, so I think, yeah, you can focus on certain domains and areas.
So in other words, are you talking about data science along with RPA?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to focus on that area, I'm saying, I was just actually, it's not just about RPA. Okay, are you just talking about RPA or in general?
I'm talking about more on RPA actually. See, correct me if I'm sorry if I'm disturbing others. To be very, very frank, see, I consider RPA as totally an independent
Correct.
framework where people doesn't need to have any domain knowledge at all, or even the coding knowledge. But domain knowledge to an extent only for subject matter expertise, not for the solution architect or a developer who is going to work.
So I think you're right in terms of coding knowledge, but domain expertise, in the sense understanding that domain or the use cases, is required, because it's more of a business tool than an IT tool. And so so if you can, so I think you're saying from an IT industry perspective, how do you develop on that one, right? In terms of RPA.
Not okay. Now, for example, take BFSI, which is a very major thing today in the industry. Actually, contributes the maximum one in the finance side. So, a person from there diving into health domain will be a pretty challenging one for him, right?
Correct. Right.
So, a guy who has worked in BFSI diving into a domain like healthcare, which is just picking up because of the demand in the market, obviously have a lot of challenges to first understand the business flow and other thing, because he never had any opportunity to work in the one which was earlier not as demanding as what it is today.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So I think we need to move to the next questions, but that's true. What I would suggest is focus on the BFSI domain. And I think there's a lot of opportunity within BFSI itself. In fact, banking and finance is where a lot of these RPA use cases got started, and a lot of opportunities are there in there.
Thanks.
Thank you. I see a lot of questions coming in. Abhineet Sood, if someone has 3 to 4 years of RPA consultant experience, what growth trajectory would be advisable for such a person? Do they need to learn the RPA tools, which is already done by developers, or should we focus more on ML and AI tools as a forward-looking thing? So I think the key is to understand the whole landscape, and as I said, it's and like Vidyasagar also was saying, it's totally a different track in terms of AI, but you can be aware of what you are doing within the which is what's possible within the RPS space, and architect solutions for that. It's as I said in the one of the slides before, is creating disruptive solutions or creating new solutions is what is important. So I would say focus on architecting newer solutions using the Lego blocks being available. So be aware of what is available within the market, within the skill space, within the marketplace. Know a little bit of the technology. I think we should all know a little bit of the technology, especially RPA, and then help customers create these solutions. And so I think your role would more be like, if you want to be that, be more of an architect in an RPA team. Govind, more than a question, I have a comment. I think the core problem with RPA is the way it's being marketed. RPA is wrongly positioned as AI, which is not true. What do you hear from customers? Appreciate your thoughts. So that's one of the things I wanted to clarify here, that RPA is not a path to AI, and this whole marketing and some of these analysts make you believe that you do RPA and then you move to AI. That's not true. RPA is an automation track, and then what you do is better automation using any of the emerging technologies, not just AI. And I have heard some use cases even with blockchain. Blue Prism is enabling. So we that's very true what you're saying, Govind. and thank you for that. How can we leverage automation in the call center BPO industry? Enhancing customer experience is one, but what about other factors? I think that's a problem that's already solved. If you've not solved it, I think you've got a great opportunity there. In the BPO space, all the repetitive tasks, and I'm not a BPO person, but any of those repetitive tasks, whether you're in the finance BPO, whether in HR BPO, all those process outsourcing which you have done, and where people are spending a lot of time on manual work, especially like clicking through and putting in data, taking data and putting it on various systems. Those kind of things, especially can be automated in BPO. And if it's a call center, like attended automation is a way where if supposing you like take data and put in various systems, you just make it one click, and so you put the data, click, and it goes to all the systems out there. Shweta Chauhan, considering the rapidly upgrading RPA tools, should a person stick to one RPA tool, or as a next level, one should focus learning AI technologies instead? So it depends on whether you want to learn the AI technologies, because as I said, AI is a different stream, and AI actually has a wider scope for sure, because that's going to impact everything. Like RPA itself is being impacted. We spoke about the whole process discovery becoming more automated there with computer vision. So it has got wider impact, and so it's probably good to know. But I would suggest that you should decide where you want to focus on. Do you want to be on automation, or do you want to be on the AI side? And within the AI side, if you pick it. I think you should pick some domain where you want to focus on, and do the whatever technologies are appearing coming up that you can use for AI. But in terms of RPA, if you are focusing on RPA, it's good to know at least the top 3 tools. I think it's not very difficult. All of them have got academies and things like that. It's good to know what are the tools, what the tool does, and how you can work on it. I think as a developer, you can pick up most of this, at least 2 of those 3 tools. Blue Prism is a bit different in terms of being object oriented, whereas UiPath Automation Anywhere, it's more of script oriented. But you can pick up those things, and you can know what all is available out there, what you can drag, drop, and create, and then think in terms of when new use cases are coming in, how it can be done better for your clients. Any use case around IoT plus RPA integrating on a single platform? I've heard of these things being done, like the IoT platforms, where you get the data from various machines and various systems and things, which can be picked up and channeled to RPA to whatever repetitive work is being done. But I personally not come across, interacted with it, but I'm pretty sure that's one big area too. So that's the questions I see, Madan.
All right, so thanks a lot, everybody, for coming and joining this webinar. Thank you very much. I know it's pretty late or pretty early morning for US time. So thank you very much, and thanks a lot, Nandan, for your time. It was really great to hear your insight and your experience into RPA and AI platforms. And we wish you all the best for your new endeavors.
Thank you, Madan, and I just wanted to thank you and everyone at Kaushal, Vikash, and EmergenTeck. Thank you for arranging this and setting this up. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for attending as well. Thank you very much.